Yes, it is Dom time. Good Thursday, everyone. Welcome in. Dom Giordano Show, 855-839-1210. That's how you get on board. Got several people stopping by today. The breaking news we'll get into and break down for you what it means next, that the Proud Boys have been convicted of what's called seditious conspiracy, which is rare. And that sort of hints, look, I'm not a fan of the Proud Boys to start with. If you are, you may want to call in and tell me why. I've never have been. I've been critical of all the nonsense, to put it mildly. But the double standard here is apparent. There is a huge double standard of how long it took to get to this point, and a double standard on how the January 6th people that have been put on trial, the sentencing, the conditions. And by the way, finding them guilty of seditious conspiracy, which is the most serious accusations they brought, it's a conviction that requires prosecutors to prove that the men were seeking to either overthrow the government or interfere with the execution of federal law by force. So we know it would be relatively easy to convict them of certain things and then determine the sentencing around that. But this is among the most severe and rare charges. Remember, you have a Washington, D.C. jury, though. And you know what that's like. They live, even more than Philadelphia, I think, Washington, D.C. juries, if you're a conservative on almost any charge, you don't want to be going there. You know what's going to happen. All right, so I'll give you more detail on that. Amon Brown. Oh, first of all, Dan, people will want to be watching. Amon is in studio. Where do they go to both watch and listen?
Yeah, you can go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please go do us a favor, like and subscribe the YouTube channel. Again, that's youtube.com/@1210WPHT. And Amon Brown will be live in studio, broadcasted via video, also on YouTube. So go check that out.
All right, that's exactly right. And let us know your lunch suggestions, how that's going today. Also, we're watching New York City protests break out after homeless man's death. Dan, I don't know if you've had a chance to analyze this. I heard it wasn't AOC. It was another far left New York. They're protesting. They're immediately claiming they want murder charges, et cetera.
Oh, AOC called him a murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of them said, well, it's not Gotham City. You know what, buddy? It is Gotham City. Now, does that mean that I watch this pretty closely, that this guy can't be charged with something? Yeah, I could see charging him. But I'm not a hack on this. I'm not just taking one side or the other. But it's ridiculous to see how threatening this man was, how out of control, the homeless man, and being told, well, that's normal. That's normal in New York. You have to put up with that. Jim Kenney has said stuff like that, our urban environment. Choking someone to death in this case, though, even in defense, I think has to be looked at. Certainly not murder, but I defended Bernard Goetz, Dan. I don't know if that name means anything to you. When he was surrounded back in the days before Giuliani on a New York subway train and opened fire. Are you supposed to be a victim all the time? So this is nuts in New York. These people in New York are protesting this. They don't protest, though, people being pushed into the tracks. They don't protest, just like here with SEPTA, that it is Gotham City. Philadelphia is Gotham City, and so is New York. Yeah, it's not Gotham City. We'll play you Mayor Adams responding to AOC and others.
It's not Gotham City, but we had a city councilman have to fly an hour and a half, or I'm sorry, drive an hour and a half from the shore to defend businesses with a long flashlight.
2-foot long flashlight,
from rioters
yes,
who are trying to break in and loot businesses. But nope, not Gotham City. It sounds like something Bruce Wayne would do, though. That's for sure.
Yes, and Al Sharpton weighs in. There's no room for vigilantism. Here's a man who got a crowd so stoked up that a Jewish businessman in business got burned down during the Crown Heights situation. He references Bernard Goetz today. Bowman, the representative from New York, who wants to be a member of the squad, I got the transition, I guess, says he was lynched on the train. This comes back to, we got hackery. This I don't know, Dan. I can't defend this though. We're looking at manslaughter here. At a certain point, when you choke this guy in this manner, I think you got to let up. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, but just the rushing to judgment and the turning a, molehill into a
Yeah,
mountain,
yeah, that it's
over
murder,
yeah,
given
that
a
it's murder,
provocation, yeah.
and like you said, there are so many instances of, quote, "Gotham City" playing out in New York and in Philadelphia that these
Yes.
politicians, AOC, the city controller, remain completely quiet on. But when something like this happens, they gotta be quick to go to Twitter or to their social media to try to
Right.
score some political points over it.
And most of them are insulated. Jim says, yes, Batman would be arrested here in Philadelphia. I mean, Bragg is bad, but he's slow and he's not as sharp. Larry Krasner would be on the third rail of the tracks holding a news conference right now, threatening to put this guy away for life. Yeah.
We are going after Batman.
Krasner land today. I think we may have to put some Gotham effects in there if you can. That would be great. It is Gotham City. Those in New York not saying it. Presley, NYC homeless man was lynched on the subway. And Fox is showing a woman who was blinded after a brutal subway beating.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Last time I wrote SEPTA was the 2016 Republican convention. I wouldn't do that anymore. Or Democrat convention in Philadelphia. I wouldn't ride it. I would tell people, don't ride it. Don't have anything to do with them. They are probably the worst organization in Philadelphia. Every single one of them up and down the line. They're horrible.
Worse than the PPA?
Yes.
Wow.
Because the PPA is fulfilling its mission. The PPA is doing what they're bloodsuckers.
Worse than the Philadelphia School District?
Yes, SEPTA is
Wow.
worse because they have more resources, more stuff. Yes. Put that up on Twitter. Would you please? Is SEPTA the worst organization? I want to see. I may not win, but I'm sticking with that. I'm not going to be pushed off
just
it.
a yes or no question, not a multi-choice question?
Yeah, yes
Okay.
or no.
Yeah, yes
and
or
they
no.
can put in who's worse in the Philadelphia area.
Gotcha.
So Amon Brown will be here. Here's the nugget. And thanks to Dan behind the scenes with a couple of our sources, we had a long conversation yesterday. In Harrisburg, the Democrats are apparently trying to shift the bill from the Judiciary Committee, where I think it was on the Senate side, to the Human Services side. And guess, Dan, who's on the Human Services side that would vote on this?
Oh, no.
Just played a guy told me yesterday he was drinking some coffee or whatever, and he spit it up on his windshield when we kept.
Here she is. Whoopsies.
The guy said he spit the coffee on the windshield. He was on the Atlantic City Expressway. He sent it to me. He wanted to know every time we played it. That is Ms. Kincaid, progressive.
We gotta do it one more
Pittsburgh.
time because it didn't go over our YouTube feed, Dom.
They matter as much as women. They matter as much as people with
Maybe just another
disabilities.
excuse to play
They
it again.
matter as much as colored folks, as people of color.
Hey.
Notice the change in her voice. Her voice got all kind of like, emergency, Will Robinson. Bail me out here. As colored, I mean, somebody tagged. Yeah, I was waiting for a Democrat to tag in there. No Democrat tagged in. You mean people of color. All wound up. That woman is one of the biggest menaces, a new star in Harrisburg.
They matter as much as colored folks, as people of color.
Oh, my goodness. So here's the nugget. We're told there's a sense that if this state law passes, then the feds might lay off with the activist. By the way, Dan, and for everybody, I noticed today, and I'll get back, I'll weave these throughout the show, that I'm looking at the speakers at colleges and universities. Almost every one of them a liberal, of greater stripe or less. And at my alma mater, LaSalle University, it will be Sister Mary Scullion. Nice job by the Christian Brothers. Are the Christian Brothers then endorsing what she does, which is safe injection sites? Now, I went to LaSalle, and they are grounded, Dan, in a theology. You know what I mean? There is a religious setting there. I would just like to ask any of them or anybody that's an alum, what's LaSalle teaching about safe injection sites? Is it a great debate or is it an obvious thing? It's an obvious thing. It's immoral. You know it in your heart of heart. It's the eye test. It's like looking at Ben Simmons shoot a basketball. Next, bring me something harder. So Amon Brown will be here. He's in the center of this action at 12:30 today. We'll talk with him about that and a bunch of other stuff that's cropping up here. All right, now with the Proud Boys, several things. One, oh man, do we miss Tucker Carlson? Nobody would be better on this, except I might differ with him a little bit. I think he'd go too far. I'm not defending the Proud. I don't like the Proud Boys. I don't like their annex. I don't see the value of it. If you do, you can tell me. But that doesn't mean what happened here is following due process. In other words, they are getting the worst. To make this into seditious conspiracy is almost unprecedented. And the jail time that could happen here definitively is. Does that mean they're not guilty of some illegal acts here? Yeah, I think they are. And the other thing that gets me is Mr. Epps in the middle of this. What was he doing egging so many people on? Why has he not been charged with any kind of incitement, even of a minor sort in all this? Does this now, immediately, the media today telling us this makes it more hazardous for Trump? I don't see that because the argument here is that these guys were hell-bent to do this and to overthrow the government or to stop some federal process. And they didn't have to wait, is the argument, for President Trump to give that speech. In other words, the charges and the evidence were well before that. So how does this imperil Trump again? And one note on the January 6th committee, when you wouldn't put someone on there to have a fair public hearing of this, like a Jim Jordan, for example, you put on Liz Cheney and people like that. How in the world are we ever going to accept the January 6th committee? As the Watergate committee had widespread acceptance ultimately. All right, phone lines are 855-839-1210. Let me give you the side question today. Today, of course, is Star Wars Day. I don't know how much Star Wars has grossed. I can't even keep. I mean, originally I was a fan of a few films, but after a while, it's a bit much.
10 billion.
Oh my God.
Yeah, as of
All right.
September 23rd, 2022, Star Wars franchise grossed more than $10 billion.
Wow.
Whew.
So we want to know the all-time great sci-fi character. We're going to take several off. I'll take one off. Maybe because I've interviewed him 6 times. Every time I can remember it. The guy is unbelievable. James Kirk, Captain Kirk.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites. He's got to be in the top 5, I think. But a rare favorite. I love Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. Not so much in the first Terminator, but in the second. Oh, man, what a character. Imagine knowing what she knows. And when she's in the insane asylum, tough character to fight with, particularly the one guy who kissed her when she was tied down. Oh, man. Oh, yes, Sarah Connor.
You think a lot of conservatives feel like Sarah Connor to a degree with the during coronavirus? It's like I'm trying to like tell you guys what's going on here. You just won't listen. It's so frustrating.
Exactly right.
I'm gonna take Spock off since you took Captain Kirk off.
Okay.
I'll take Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker off, and then finally Skelly and Mulder from the X-Files.
That allows me to say I attended an X-Files convention, not by choice. I was going to a talkers convention. Our hotel, this is what DJ Luke and Rowe was in Secaucus, and they were holding an X-Files convention.
Were the people like cosplaying?
Oh, yeah. They were all, they were in costume. They were doing all kinds. Oh, it was nuts. Oh, yeah.
Did you go check it out at all?
Yeah, well, it was right in front of us. They were running around the hallways, hiding and doing X-Files.
Do you know if like Scully and Mulder were there?
No. Secaucus, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
And also on that trip, though, listeners know I went on the free because I had them on. I went on the Real Kramer tour, the bus tour of Seinfeld, and I won what was it? A pizza on a bagel. Because I answered correctly that Mr. Pitt was off to play Ethel Kennedy. with the Brewline racket instantly.
Your trivia knowledge and
And then the
Seinfeld is
guy
so
said
deep.
to me, all right, you can only win once. And I'm like, oh, come on now. So I tried to whisper to DJ the answer. It didn't work so well. I wanted another bagel pizza.
Was it good? Like, was it just a bagel
It was
bite?
horrible.
Was
Yes.
it like a microwaved bagel bite?
No, it was a pretty big bagel with a pizza on it,
Okay.
just like in the show.
Okay. Yeah.
We didn't go to the trash, putting the stumps in the trash or anything like that. We did go to Monk's. I think it's Tom's, really, the name of the coffee shop.
That's awesome.
There were real places. Oh, yeah.
Sounds like a fun tour.
And the guy was good. Yeah, the real Kramer might be as good as the fake Kramer.
He's as crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they got most of this stuff. He ran for mayor, too. All right. So 855-839-1210. You got it. That's the side question. Amon Brown here at 12:30.
Can you address some
Yes.
YouTube comments? YouTube.com/@1210WPHD. We're always streaming live there from 12 to 1. You got Epps was a Fed. Epps was an FBI plant.
Well, that's what I'd like to know definitively. I mean, when we saw that 60 Minutes, it was ridiculous. This guy complaining he's going to sue everybody, et cetera. Why was he never charged for incitement? Here's the point. If these guys are going to get these most serious charges, okay, throw the book at that's what's happened here. Then how does a guy like Epps, clearly egging people on, get away with his deranged story that he was just there to support his president? Maybe he did get out of line a little bit, but so what? It wasn't incitement or anything. Well, then what's incitement? My God. The head of the Proud Boys wasn't even there and yet still got this. And then with Zach Real, I told the story. I had him on, Dan, way back when. I think it was on a Saturday or something. I'd have to look when I also had a Saturday show because of a battle in Philadelphia with him. And, routinely, the Bucks County papers run stuff and all. Dom Giordano, say hello to Zach Real. I haven't been in touch with him since then. So there's a local connection with him. He claimed he joined the Proud Boys for business connections, and the Inquirer says, then he said it set him back 10 years by dealing with them. All right, so 855-839-1210. There's a lot. Be that first call, jump in.
Can I get you some tweets too?
Yes, go ahead.
So we asked on Twitter, is SEPTA the worst organization in
Yes.
Philadelphia? If not, then who? That's at Dom Show 1210. It's currently sitting Dom. 56.5% say yes.
There you go.
And now we asked for those who said no, what do they say? David writes in, Sean, similarly, the PPA is probably worse. Debbie says the Office of Property Assessments is worse than SEPTA.
Well, you talk about going into the weeds. Okay.
And then Washington Times columnist Tim Murtaugh contributed saying the Flyers, ? Worse than the...
Oh, man,
Yeah.
that should have been the side question. He's a columnist, Pat Murtaugh?
No, Tim Murtaugh.
Tim Murtaugh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I read his column.
VP of Comm Strategy for National Public Affairs.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will. That's I'd have to agree. The Flyers are. You can't use pro teams. The Sixers last night might be worse than SEPTA. No, they're a horror. They're an outright horror because of all the resources they have, and because nobody ever challenges them. They just have run amok constantly. So I think the New York subway is efficient versus SEPTA, certainly. All right, 855-839-1210. Jump in right now on Talk Radio 1210. Yes, great music, particularly that highway as they're rolling down. You see the yellow stripe in the center. Terminator. All right, that's a sci-fi question today on Star Wars Day. All-time sci-fi character. That's what we're looking for. Now, thanks to George, who will remain anonymous out there in the far, far reaches of Talk Radio 1210. Dan, he spotted me on the No Spin News yesterday. Giant picture, Bill O'Reilly, because I looked at the transcript. O'Reilly despises Mitch McConnell, and rightfully so. He blames McConnell again in this Texas shooting where the guy had been deported 5 times and yet still was back here. And he brought up Kate's Law. Kate was this beautiful young woman killed in San Francisco by a guy who I think was deported 8 or 9 times, had gotten the gun of somebody in law enforcement, shot her right there in a popular Bay Area in downtown San Francisco when he was shooting at somebody else. And he was still here. And I don't believe he got that harsh of a sentence, even in her death. So O'Reilly was on.
I have the audio.
Oh, do it. Yeah. I had, if you can imagine, one day in talk radio, I had Mitch McConnell, who had a book, followed by O'Reilly. And Mitch McConnell said O'Reilly was just an entertainer. Oh, man. That was beyond belief. And that's back in the day when he was the biggest guy in cable news. So if you find it, we'll have it later on.
Sanctuary cities, where some Democrats, I believe, would have voted for Kate's Law. Okay? So the vote in the Senate failed 54-45. Bye-bye Kate's Law. Now, I called McConnell out. He wouldn't talk to me because he's a coward, but he did go on the radio. Roll it.
Bill O'Reilly was on today. He's got a new book. He comes on with me, once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And he said he thinks it's personal with you and O'Reilly why Kate's Law, which is great common sense, and people are furious about beautiful young woman killed by this maniac allegedly. Why not Kate's Law? What is holding that up?
Well, Bill is having a hard time understanding how the Senate works. We voted on a bill that included that.
Sorry to interrupt, but why have sanctuary cities tied to that? Why not just make Kate's Law by itself?
Because we can't pass it all by itself. That's the problem. I wish we had 60 votes in the Senate to do whatever we wanted to do. We've explained that to O'Reilly repeatedly, but he doesn't seem to want to listen.
All right.
No. Put it up. Let the Democrats vote against it.
All right. So that's exactly right. And it went on and on from there. Man, O'Reilly doesn't forget right away back to that whole thing, Dan.
Takes notes.
I have to see. I haven't seen it. You have the sound, but you don't have the video?
I do have the video.
Tell me how the picture looks. Is it a picture from 10 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, I'm pulling back up.
Okay. You can let me know in a minute.
It's just your standard headshot.
Okay. All right.
I think it's the one we're using for our mayoral debate.
Oh,
on
I like
Monday.
that one. Yes, very flattering. Thank you, Bill. But boy, that's no just showbiz thing. O'Reilly, and rightfully so, Mitch McConnell once again. So we have it play out in Texas again, and we still don't have Kate's Law. All right, let's go to another Dominic in Boyertown on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Dom, good afternoon. What do you have today?
Hey, Tom. My favorite sci-fi character is the Predator.
Okay, how come?
Man, I saw Predator 2 in the movies with my dad, so it really brings back great memories. And then we watched Predator 1, but I've always been into sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, the whole deal, and just that the hunter, the alien is a hunter, and it just goes to planets and collects trophies and the cool technology that it has. I just really love the series.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, a series usually with a character. Look at the development of Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
From kind of a disco queen in the first to this muscled up with the hat and blowing up the window and standing over top of the guy in the second.
Have you ever seen that the Predator was, there was test footage of Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be the Predator, and he actually recorded some test footage for this. and what he was wearing was like a spandex red outfit, just a completely different looking Predator. It looks ridiculous. So I implore our listeners to go search out that footage of Jean-Claude Van Damme doing test footage for a Predator movie, and it's hilarious.
All right, Ed is apparently a former SEPTA instructor. Is he going to vouch for my statement, the worst here locally? Let's go to Ed in Albany. Hey, Ed, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I've been out there. I've been retired for 26 years, and my thoughts and well wishes are with the men and women who motor the trolley cars and drive the buses, who pick up the public. And I think that more or less they're being held hostage by men like Let 'em Loose Larry Krasner, who is not doing his job, who are letting the criminals out, and the felonies that he's changing into misdemeanors.
Too, at least the people on the subway, the driver and that type of stuff, they don't have to deal. You're right. But a bus driver has got to deal with all that stuff on a bus while driving a loaded bus through traffic. It's a hugely difficult job.
That's right. And my hearts, my prayers, my thoughts are with all of them, and some of them now, since I've been out for 26 years, some of them now are retired. I've met some of them, and they like me so much that some of them treat me to dinner at some of the diners.
Well, Ed, you were an instructor. You got a great voice. You should be doing commercials. So what did you instruct? What were you doing?
I was a driver for 6 years, and I was a bus instructor and trolley and trackless trolley instructor for 16 and a half. And I taught defensive driving. I taught also I did accident investigations.
Okay.
I did plainclothes work for checking up on some of the drivers and so forth.
Well,
and I was trained by Joe Basha, who was went on to be with the New Jersey Transit.
Okay. Ed, well, it's great to have you as a listener. Thank you. Never know who's out there. I take that he was going off even better on Larry Krasner. But coming up, we will be talking with Amon Brown. Dan, how's that? Is there a bat signal there? Are we ready to go?
Yeah, we'll be good. Yeah, I think we'll be ready to go.
All right, good.
I think he should be here.
One of our all-time favorites, of course. But in addition to that, there's a lot hinging. I told you the nugget we learned yesterday, that if the state passes this bill to ban safe injection sites. And by the way, Dan, you are going back and forth, I think, with Matt Bradford, the Democrat majority leader's office, that I think it's fair to say he wants to come on, right? It's just a question of time.
Yeah, I hope to get him on soon.
Oh, this will be good. Yeah, I have to ask him about the Kincaid woman, who is now they're switching it over to the committee that she's on. What a find. This is an all-timer. I didn't know she even existed until this recent thing. My goodness.
She's great. Also, if you want to see Amon live in studio, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please head over there now. Get ready for this. Like and subscribe as well. And if you're there right now, you're seeing that footage I mentioned of Jean-Claude Van Damme in that ridiculous red suit as a Predator. Yes.
Oh, my God. The stuff that comes up here. O'Reilly with a picture of it on there. Thanks to the listeners to see. There's nothing that escapes us. Bill O'Reilly, Dan, I've already booked him, as you saw, for Thursday of this coming, not today, a week from today, will be with us at 12:30. Why? He's got a lot to say about President Trump going on CNN. That's going to be a big night. Wednesday night, Trump on CNN. I think it cuts greatly toward Trump's advantage. All right. Who has the U.S. Navy turned to recruit? They need recruits. They're pulling out all the stops, so to speak. And Amon Brown in studio with us next. Hey, we've all seen the news. Cost at the grocery store going up. That includes bottled water. It really makes you think, is there a better way to ensure your family is drinking clean, pure water? There is. Just do what I did and get a Kinetico water system from Martin Water Conditioning. The Kinetico system removes all the impurities from your water. What comes out of the tap is crystal clear, all natural water. Not only is it the best tasting water ever, it provides peace of mind knowing that your family's water is pure and clean, particularly given that trauma that we went through. Remember that? I still have a stockpile of water, but I also have the ultimate weapon, and that is my Martin Water family that comes and puts in these Kinetico systems. Years of experience to work for you. They are remarkable at how clean they are and how they love to show you the impurities that are in your water and take them out. And right now, you get 20% off the installation of a Kinetico system. Just do what I did. Contact Martin Water Conditioning for that free no obligation water test. Visit martinwater.com, martinwater.com, or call 800 887 7555. 800 887 7555. Dom Giordano Show. Thanks for being part of it. One of our favorites, State Representative and candidate for Mayor Almond Brown. Should be here shortly, but this is like Fort Knox. They're frisking him to see if there's any gold or whatever there in the hallway, so he'll be with us. But I wanted to, Dan, Steve, we can put another local Democrat female star on our radar screen. That would be Representative Mary Isaacson. She put up on Twitter a survey. She can't figure out what to do about safe injection sites. She wants people in her district to fill out this survey about what they think should be done. Now, this should be, how long has this been out there? How much more information do you need on something that's not in the weeds? You think as a representative, you should make a decision. So, Mary, give us a call. We'll help you with your decision. Joining us in studio, State Representative Almond Brown. Representative, I just mentioned this colleague of yours, a Democrat. At this point in time, people have to know how they feel about safe injection sites. Wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. I hope the public know where I stand on them. I'm against them.
Right.
I spent a lot of time in Kensington in the last month.
You had the big trash and removal. I wanted to
Absolutely.
ask you because, my wife is a huge fan. I think she's even coming to our debate to meet you and Sherelle Parker.
Oh, that's
Those are
good.
two of her big choices. And
Uh-huh.
she said, but, it's pretty tough there, right? I'm scared to death
Mhm.
of needles and just everybody around that's living on the street there. What was that like?
Man, it was a humbling experience, because you've seen, people from all different walks of life, every single race. So it's not just a white thing or a black thing. Um, it was humbling, man. Young, old, mothers, fathers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, just even talking to a few. One guy even walked up to us because we had a camera guy with us, and he was like, "Oh man, that's a nice camera." And he identified the camera and said, "Oh, I used to work with similar equipment." And he started
Right.
naming equipment. And so we're like, "Hey," he said, "Man, look, I have a degree in this and that, and I used
Right.
to work in this company." But he just fell on hard times, man, and the substance abuse took over, and now he's living in K&A. So it's not just a poor people thing, man. It's like once you get
Yeah.
hooked,
A lot
you're
of people
hooked.
from the suburbs.
A lot of people from the suburbs, and uh, I was at Six in Oregon the other night, and a woman was telling me that she found her niece down there, and from a decent family,
Right.
and she goes down there and check on her niece every chance she get,
Mm-hmm.
and she finds her and tries to help. But the other thing that we learned is that organizations that are going down there giving clothes and food and
Mm-hmm.
giving out tents, they're not helping the situation. You know, s-
Well-intentioned, but
well-intentioned, but
normalizing it.
exactly, because you have individuals who feel like, wow, I can come down here and live rent free. Every day people are bringing me food and giving me tents for shelter and giving me new clothes. I could just keep on using the little bit of money I get on more and more drugs. And the drug dealers down there, they're on one side of the street, and then the substance abuse on the other side of the street, and they have no care in the world. So we're going to make sure
Mhm.
that we get rid of these individuals, man, because it is not okay.
It's a question of will,
Mhm.
is what it comes down to. I don't
Mhm.
know of any law that says if you were the mayor or a couple of other people that I like,
Mhm.
that you couldn't rid this of it. It would take a little bit. It's going to take a lot of pushback.
It's gonna take courage.
Yeah. But
Mhm.
imagine, I mean, I'm just feeling it, what you're feeling. You're there doing this. They're standing on the other side of the street, not
Mhm.
a care in the world, that the scum of the earth giving drugs to these poor
Mhm.
people in this manner don't care about anything.
It surprised me that a few of them on one of the streets actually helped
Wow.
help clean up. I was like, I literally just saw him sell some dope, and
Right.
then he comes in and he start throwing bags in our dumpster, and they start moving stuff to the street because we had big, heavy equipment. We had street
Right.
sweepers and
Yeah.
roll off dumpsters and just all kinds of things, man. And they actually pitched in. I was like,
Wow.
wow.
Well, let me take it back to the safe injection now. As we understand it from our sources, moves to the House,
Mhm.
and they're going to move it to a different committee from Judiciary to Human Services. Is that what you
That's what
understand?
that's what needs to happen.
Okay.
That's what we would like to happen, because the chairman of Judiciary Committee, he's a decent guy, but it needs to be moved over into Human Services, and then hopefully it gets put on schedule because we don't need this bill to just die in committee. It needs to be put up for a vote. Uh,
Well,
and
that's where we come in. We're
yeah,
talking to the majority
mhm,
leader, Matt Bradford. I mean, this is a major thing here, and we're
yes.
told, Amin, that the feds might not go forward with those activists that want to put it in if there's a state law that would give them the pretense to say, no, we can't go for it. There's a state law here.
Yeah, and so, like, what we need to do right now is reach out to each and every state lawmaker and say, "Hey, look, first off, you need to find out who your lawmaker is, and we
Right.
need to start sending email blasts, calling them. We got to do what the progressives do, right? And
Hmm.
other organizations from around the country. They overload our phone lines, our emails, the whole nine,
Right.
because this is a number one issue in the state right now. So we have about 2 weeks to flood to let
Hmm.
our representatives know how important this issue is to you. And there's strength in numbers. So we need to reach out to our offices, email us like crazy, and say, no, we need this bill put up.
Even suburban legislators, because they vote too on this.
Yes. That's why I said find out who
Right.
your representative is, and we need to be reached out to. Because that stuff works. When we're on the floor and we're getting inundated with emails,
Mhm.
from organizations saying, "Please vote yes to this legislation." We need emails coming in right now saying, "Please reach out to your leadership. Get this put into Human
Right.
Services Committee. Get this thing to a
Right.
full floor vote, and let's get this bill done."
Do you have a sense, because I call out my own, I'm a Catholic, say the black clergy, my own would be Archbishop Perez. This is a moral thing. To me, this is not just impractical, it's immoral
Mhm,
because it's going to continue to
mhm,
normalize. This would be one of the biggest steps in normalizing this
mhm,
versus people who can get off this and need
mhm,
that impulse. Do you see any of those religious figures that this is their lane to be in,
mhm.
I think, to weigh in?
Man, if they stepped up along with the people, the power of
Right.
the people, there's no way we would lose this fight. Right? So, like I said, reach out to us,
Mhm.
hit us with the email blast. You can find out who your state legislator is. We need this bill to get moved out of committee on May 22nd when we go back, and it needs to be pushed to a floor for a vote that same week so we can get this thing done. We need this bill. Safe injection sites are not good for our state.
And in the Senate, to their credit, because I
Oh,
know,
they did
and you know
phenomenal.
what it's like to buck your party at times. It
Mhm.
was 41-9.
Oh,
That
they did
means a
great.
lot of Democrats
Mhm.
oppose this also. They see exactly what we're talking about.
It's the quality of life, man. And
Right.
surveys and stuff are nice, but we know what the issues are. We
Mhm.
know what the issues are. Like, we don't need a survey for public safety. We know crime is out of control. Innocent women and children are dying. We know that repeat violent offenders need to be taken off our streets. There's just things that we know, so let's get this bill done. And
Exactly.
I'll be the first one to vote for it.
All right, what else occupies you right now between now and the next big debate? The actual debate this time will have you. You couldn't do it the last time you were speaking at the funeral of Officer Fitzgerald, your family member.
Mhm.
We'll have you, Alan Dom, and Sherelle Parker.
I'm
What?
excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is going to be a lively debate. We have three of our favorites.
Uh-huh.
Uh, you and Sherelle and Alan in there. It's going to be an
Hey,
interesting
man, it's gonna be
combination.
good.
Yeah.
It's
But
gonna be good.
what are you campaigning on now? What occupies your time right now?
Hey, man, we're just touching the flesh. We're in the
Right.
communities that people are not expecting to come out and
Right.
vote, and we're waking them up, and they're excited that we have a pro law enforcement, pro law and order young black man that's on the ballot. With
Mm.
with a wonderful name like Amen. You know what I mean? So, man, we're waking folks up, man, and they're like, "Wow, real change is on the ballot." Somebody who is actually going to stand for what's right, not what's popular. And like I said, man, folks are very woke. They're going to see the numbers that come out. We're gonna shake them up.
All right.
And people talk about these endorsements. Those endorsements mean nothing. Like, you see somebody just got Bernie Sanders. This is not this is not a Vermont municipality election. You know what I
AOC,
mean?
though. I mean, you can't go
What
wrong
is
with that. Yes.
You
Yeah.
can't go. Oh, no, 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 no. You know, they don't impact what goes on in our city.
Right.
And that's the problem. A lot of outsiders coming in telling us what's best for us.
Yeah, when you think as a matter of politics, the person, Helen, would realize that in Philadelphia, Philadelphia.
She lives in a bubble.
She's
She's
from
clueless.
Seattle originally, too.
She's clueless.
Anybody from Philadelphia would tell you, knock it off. You get Philadelphia endorsements of people, that's
Mhm.
fine. But these others coming from there, no, we're not going to. In fact, it's a negative.
You know what endorsements matter? The woman who's been a block captain
Mhm.
serving the block lunches every summer for the last 30 years. That's what
Right.
endorsement matters. And those are the endorsements that we have. The people
Right.
who've been protecting those communities, taking care of these innocent women and children and these families in times of need. Those are the endorsements that matter. Those are the people that are going to show up on May 16th, and they're going to be heavily pushing button 34. It's the only button to push right now because that button is guaranteeing a safe city, a clean city, and a vibrant city, and a pro-business city and pro-law enforcement city. So
Absolutely.
that's
It's
what
all
it
there.
is,
Where
man.
do they go to find you, though? Those that maybe are hearing you for the first time today.
Hey, I'm in for Philly.com and on all the social media handles and in the streets, man. We're in the communities. Like I
Right.
said, man, we're not afraid
Hey, if you
to
can
be in
get
these
drug
neighborhoods.
dealers to help you pick up the trash, that's pretty good
Man,
endorsement.
listen, the respect level is different.
Yeah.
You know, a strong black man saying, "Hey, this is how we're going to move forward in our town."
Right.
People are getting on board, man. The people that you least expect.
All right. To be continued. We'll see you on Monday, Dan.
Has Amin ever heard this Bernie Sanders over a reggae beat singing "This Land Is Your Land"?
No, I have not, and I would never listen to nothing like that.
The Bernie Sanders singers. There we go. Yes.
Oh, it's
Hey,
so
you like
bad.
my jacket?
I do.
All right. Yes, you got enough police patches on there. We're watching that on
Yeah.
YouTube. You can check it out. Thanks for coming in
All right,
studios, Alma Salmon. I'll let you get back to Pression and Flesh here on Talk Radio 1210.
Thank you, brother.
Dom Giordano Show. Yes, the next big debate will be Monday, 1 o'clock, out here in our hub, it's called. Really nice performance, state-of-the-art studio, giant space, and you'll be able to see that on YouTube or just listen on the radio, and we'll have Sherelle Parker, Alan Dom, and Amin Brown, and maybe a fourth. We're working on that. Not Helen Gim, though, we don't believe. She's welcome to stop in anytime, impromptu, sit down. I think we could get 3 or 4 hours going easily. Bring in some food. All right, 855-839-1210. You heard what he said, what Amin Brown said about your local representative, okay? This is possible, more than possible, to have them pass this state law banning safe injection sites. If they do that, I'm told the feds will back off along with those activists trying to shove that not just into Philadelphia, but ultimately it'll come to the suburbs. And I asked Amin, where are the religious leaders, be it the black clergy, be it the archbishop, people like that, say, no, this is immoral. It's an obvious thing that's engaged here. I'd love to debate any one of them on the morality of this. I know what they lead with. Well, we're saving lives. You're not. Really. That's what's happening here with so-called safe injection sites. All right. We're also monitoring an update on this January 6th now. The Proud Boys, the leader of the Proud Boys, and a local guy, Zach Rail, and 2 others have been convicted on some charges. Some are still up in the air, but the most serious, this seditious conspiracy. And look, I think the average reasonable person would buy in. People that storm the Capitol, punishment, but they see the double standard here. They see how over the top this is as far as going after this to levels that are unprecedented versus, the riots of 2020, the George Floyd summer, just as an example. It's a double standard, big time here. All right, let's go to Jeff in Hatboro. Jeff, you're on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Jeff, good afternoon.
Hey, Dom. Hey, Dan. I was just listening to Amin Brown, and I was actually, last time he was on, lucky enough to get through and congratulate him. But I just want to say, Dom, something about him. When you sit and listen, you can tell that he's educated, intelligent, and very focused on the subject.
Yep.
And he never, ever skirts around the issue to try to not answer anything that you ask him, which is, that means a lot, But basically my question is I'm up in Doylestown right now, but I'm from Hatboro. My question is, as an outsider, what can we do as far as this whole mess that's going on in Philadelphia? Is there anything I can do from the outside?
Oh, well, I would say 2 things. One, you can help in whatever way you can. Maybe you know people that vote in Philadelphia. So, Jeff, whoever you think, because I think 3 or 4 of these people, and you probably can guess the 3 or 4, I think, will have a big impact on turning this around. Kenny has been so absentee. The big issue is going to be, of course, Krasner in the end. So that's one. And then once a new mayor is elected, in any way that you choose, I think you'll start to see people coming back to Philadelphia, supporting Philadelphia. It'll be better.
Yeah, you got to hope. I don't want to say it couldn't get any worse, but
Yeah.
I think they've pretty much hit rock bottom at this point.
Thank you, Jeff. As always, have a nice weekend. If we don't talk, great guy, always looking out for his neighbor, etc. All right, coming up, something that I just saw today. I don't agree with the conclusion of the people that wrote this about what should be done to protect schools, but I agree about one thing. Big column out there today. How many shooter drills are kids going through during their school career? Is that a good thing? And I've been inside of schools. I've had people before who seem to love this. I think they might do it every day. So we'll get into that. A little bit later on, we're going to talk with the treasurer in Pennsylvania. She's the head of about 33 or so treasurers across the country pushing back against the Biden administration, saying the better your credit score, the more you're going to have to pay on your mortgage. Just think about it. This might be
Ridiculous.
exactly what these people are all about. All that coming up. Seafood lovers, if you still haven't tried Captain Chucky's crab cakes, what are you waiting for? Captain Chucky's has teamed up with Vera Pasta Company to create 2 new ravioli varieties, the banging crab and the lobster ravioli, available starting May 8th. Now, Mother's Day is next Sunday. Get these, and you'll be set from Captain Chucky's. I hope that we're going to be eating them before Monday, like tomorrow, maybe, on the air, or Monday when they are on your shelf. They have great choices, too, of crab cakes, of course. The breaded, the non-breaded, literally a crab cake for everybody. Dessert, soup, sides, appetizers. Asked about their specials. Asked about the Dom roll, the Gulf shrimp. Just try it this weekend. You'll get it for every weekend after that. Order a shrimp tray, crab cakes. Ask about their specials. Visit one of Captain Chucky's 18 locations. The website, welovecrabcakes.com. Visit the independent owners of the satellite stores, Wayne and Elaine Jones, Chester Springs, Frank Chirillo. He's in Bluebell. John and Cindy Clark in Huntington Valley, Ocean City, Sea Isle City, open Friday and Saturdays, noon till 5. In Ocean City, say hi to Chris and Donna Ryan. In Sea Isle City, say hello to the McCann family. Remember, welovecrabcakes.com.